I'm definitely special. I'm Donna. I'm an addict. So I met John, and I know why you asked me to do this, by the way. I met John at a training back in the spring. And afterwards, we went to a coffee shop, and he gave his lead. And his story is fucking amazing. And I felt like our region needed to hear that. The things that he overcame and the way that he got clean is it touched my heart and my soul. And with that, I'll give you John.
My name's John. I'm an addict. Man, I tell you what, my daughter gave me this shirt for Christmas. She grew up in recovery, and if one thing she tells everybody, my dad definitely ain't on drugs. So, it's always an honor and a privilege to carry that hope shot from the message that we get here in Narcotics Anonymous. And I take that very serious, but at the same time, got to remind me and y'all what kind of God I have. And the God of my understanding, he has a sense of humor, amongst other things. And the proof is me being here right now. There was this young addict working on a highway department here in West Virginia. And he was fairly new, but yet cocky. How we typically are when we're new. And he's out there, his job is to cut the grass along the side of the highways. And, after a while, he came across this beautiful patch of buttercups. And he's thinking, oh my God, these are the most glorious buttercups I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm new to recovery. Everything's just, everything's more prettier and beautifuler. And I just can't possibly cut these buttercups there. And they just look too good. And so he skipped the buttercups. And Mother Nature looked down on him and said, my, that is a serious kind act of your respect for Mother Nature and my beautiful buttercup. So I think as a token of my appreciation, newcomer, I'm going to give you a year's supply of butter. And he looked back at Mother Nature and said, where were you last week when I skipped the pussy willer? If you laughed at that, you're excused from the rest of my talk. But if you didn't laugh, you need to stay in your seat. The God of understanding is also a very appreciative God. He really recognizes and understands how hard it is to do service work, especially in Narcotics Anonymous. And I've been amazed this whole weekend at what a wonderful job the convention committee has done organizing this, keeping this thing flowing, and every workshop I attended was marvelous. The staff here was fabulous. And I just think we ought to just give them another big round of applause for all their hard work. Got them understand and recognize the special warriors in Narcotics Anonymous. Every area's got one. You go to the Richmond area, you'll see a guy much like Cooper, behind the scenes, suave, ponytail one night, let it hang out the neck, always calm and, whatnot. But, Cooper, I've seen and recognized your hard work, what you must have gone through to put this thing together and the shit we go through doing this level of service. So be sure and everybody hug Cooper before he gets up out of here. I know he needs a hug, all right? Whether you like him or not, you hug that motherfucker, all right? The best way I know to describe my journey in Narcotics Anonymous is just share my experience, strength, and hope with you, okay? In my experience, we all have experience on what it was like getting here, you follow me? I don't think there's a lot of difference in many of us. I think there's a common denominator amongst most people in Narcotics Anonymous. Somewhere in our early life experience, we experienced trauma. Something was fucked up for most of us. There's a few Kardashians in here where things were cool, right? But most of us had trauma as a kid. In my case was, You know, I don't think I'm special or unique, but my mama had 8 kids by the time she was 27 years old. And my dad was a maniac. He was crazy. And my dad, when my dad was 5 years old, in 1937, in the height of the Depression, his mama put him in an orphanage in D.C., Washington, D.C., and he ran away from that orphanage, and he lived in the Hoovervilles during the Depression. In 1937, he was one badass motherfucker, man. He survived that shit. And his father was a World War I vet, World War II vet, and I mean the shit he had to go through. So he brought that into his parenting skills, which were very lacking. And he was also an addict. He was a blackout drunk. And in my house growing up, my mama loved us. Some days you get the love, and some days you get brutally fucking beat half to death. You know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids should not be brutal. You go to prison today for that shit. And you know, the little boy not understanding, fearing for your life on a regular basis, but yet there were intermittent periods of this tremendous amount of love and compassion. You know, we were raised Catholics, and that's how Catholics did it back in them days, you know. We took a whole row on the front seat, went to Catholic school. Penguin was what we called a nun. They used to beat the shit out of us. And the priests were cool. I did like the priests. I found out later, you know, I got low self-esteem, inferior complex anyways. But when I found out later that these priests were giving out blowjobs and I never get one, that fucked me up. You know. I know where my self-esteem comes from. But on a more serious note, man, y'all sick bunch of people, man. Y'all need to hear this shit. I'm 5 years old, and I stumble across a bird's nest, little baby bird's nest. And out of nowhere, I stomped that bird nest and killed all them baby birds. To this day, that does haunt me. But through therapy, I'm wondering, why would a little boy do that? I was acting out my daily life in my house, you know. And, you know, we come in recovery. A lot of sick, twisted people. A lot of you newcomers pretty fucked up. You know you are. But hang in there, though. It's going to get better. I promise you, it will get better. You hear me? But you got to hang in there and do the work. But when you grow up like that, every man for himself. You know, I was an entrepreneurial. I was a thief at first. I remember as a kid, I used to steal anything that won't nail down. Somewhere around, I'm guessing 11 years old, I got drunk. First drug I did was alcohol. And I thought to myself, up until then, I heard don't touch, don't do drugs, don't drink. They're bad for you, right? And the first time I got fucked up, I'm thinking, you motherfuckers, you're holding out on me. You know, who wouldn't want this feeling? I be honest with you, I felt like life made sense to me at that age. This is what I'm here for. This is the ultimate purpose of life, is the get high. The get high. I fell in love with the get high the first time I did it. And it made living okay. It made all my shit okay. Now, when you're that young, it's hard to get high as much as you want to. So it was a gradual, daily. Before I become daily, I was 15 years old and I was getting high every single day by whatever means I could find and get. And I also realized when I was 15, maybe I was 16, I got locked up and was put in juvenile probation, threatened with juvie. And I didn't want to do that, so I behaved for a while. And I say that because that began, for the next few years, I ended up in and out of getting arrested, you know, getting released. Back BC, before crack, it was catch and release whenever you get arrested. And, but I didn't want to live that, I didn't want, you know, being in jail and prison worried me, okay? Because I like freedom, to be honest with you. So I learned how to paint. I paint houses. I'm a paint contractor by trade. And when I was in high school, I was painting houses for money. Now, all my money went to drugs, but I made a lot of money. I was a very good industrial kid. You know, by the time I'm 21, I'm painting and wallpaper in hotels up and down the East Coast, probably one of the youngest contractors in the trade. Back in the late 70s, I'm knocking down $5,000 to $10,000 a week. My money. Okay? $10,000 then is like $30,000, $40,000 in today's money. And every penny I ever made, I couldn't hold money more than 48 hours. I don't know what it was about 48 hours, but within 2 days, I'm flat broke. And it's embarrassing, you know. What's wrong with me? Why am I living like this? And not only that, my whole life was centered around using and finding ways and means to get more. And, you know, one day I'm standing on a street corner in Denver, Colorado. I know the day because it's on my paperwork. But on January 16, 1980, I'm standing on a street corner in Denver, Colorado, broke, homeless, stinking of piss, wondering what the fuck is wrong with me. And out of nowhere, I see this recruiting poster. It's a Navy recruiting poster. Not just a job, it's an adventure. Light bulb goes off. Said, fuck it, I'm going to join the Navy. I went in that recruiter's office, and the only one in there was a Marine recruiter. And he educated me. He said, yep, Marine Corps is a department of the Navy. You can be in the Navy and be a Marine. And he gave me a cigarette, a donut, a cup of coffee. And my paperwork says, entered Marine Corps January 16, 1980. And I was in boot camp January 18th, 1980. Within 48 hours, and that was my first detox. Boot camp. Marine Corps boot camp. And it didn't take me long. I'm standing there in them little yellow feet printing. Them drill instructors are screaming at me. And that's when it was clear to me that what we all say, everybody joins the Marine Corps, you all say this when you're on them little yellow feet prints. I done fucked up now. How do I get out of this? And I've said probably my final prayer in the Marine Corps. God, you get me out of this one. I'll never smoke, drink, whore around. I'll quit all that shit. I won't cuss, nothing. And, you know, my dad was a Marine, Korean War Air Marine. So I had knowledge of Marine Corps language, terminology. So the first night in boot camp, they said, hit the rack. Me and one other guy, out of 100 guys, hit the rack. We knew what that meant. So I was marked for the rest of the time in boot camp. But after a couple of weeks in boot camp, I'm telling myself, I'm saying, I got to get out of here. I'm going to go up on this second story ledge and I'm going to jump. I'm going to break my leg and they're going to kick me out. And off I go. This is true story shit here. I'm going for the ledge. And all of a sudden I hear a drill instructor yell my name. Shadozer, come here! And he named off like 5 or 6 of us. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? I didn't tell nobody. How did they read mine? We run to the duty hut, and we're all lined up, and that drill instructor says, you 6 Marines have tested above average in intelligence. And you can have any job in the Marine Corps you want if you extend for 1 more year. Because I enlisted for 3, and they wanted 4 years out of you. So they put up a piece of paper, and I'm thinking to myself, you stupid motherfucker, I'm out of here, man. No way would I even consider any of that shit. And I'm going down the list because they make you look at it. It says, you know, aircraft mechanic, helicopter, whatever, all kind of great jobs, computer programmer, operator. 1980, if you get in the computer world in the military, you'd be something today. I'm going, nope, in my mind. The very last sentence, field radio operator, the last word on that sheet of paper was the word Hawaii. Hawaii. And I went from fuck you to hula dancers and Hawaiian reefer. And I mean, I couldn't sign that piece of paper quick enough. I walked up out of that duty hut thinking, scratching my head, holy shit, did I just do what I think I did? I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to fuck hula dancers and smoke weed on the beach, man. It's going to be great. And at the end of my 3 months boot camp, they gave me 3 months pay. Cash money. 3 months. I went downtown San Diego. I'm just going to drink a few beers, smoke a joint, mind my own business, maybe get a hooker, and go to my duty station, you know? And, man, the next thing I knew the next morning, the first thing I heard was, it was a woman's voice. Ew, you pissed on me. And I come to, I'm in a seedy motel room, bunch of passed out Marines and hookers, and it's like fucking nothing changed. I'm flat broke, don't have a penny to my name, I stink of piss. It was just nothing changed, and it was so demoralizing for me. I just spent all that time in boot camp trying to run from my addiction, and goddamn it, that addiction didn't stay right there with me, but it was stronger than ever before. Remember, I've been working out for 3 months. I go to my duty station in Hawaii, nothing changed. I found out what a field radio operator was. We carried a radio. I'm in the infantry. Hula dancers don't want nothing to do with us. And the weed is very expensive. So, the Marine Corps pays it twice a month. So twice a month I got to use like I like to use. And I deployed twice. I had a third deployment coming up. All we did was deploy back then. We do 6-month Westpac cruises. My first deployment, we were in the Straits of Hormuz when they released the Iranian hostages. We were actually an attack group, and thank God we didn't have to attack. They released the hostages. My last deployment when they blew up the embassy in Beirut, which the 39th anniversary was just a few days ago. We were in the Indian Ocean, just left the ocean when they blew that up. So I'm not a combat Marine. I'm always that poor son of a bitch that has to hurry up and wait. For any military guys out here, you know what that means. But I'm in between my second and third deployment. And finally, after being arrested 12 times in foreign countries, 4 times in foreign countries, not no drug kingpin though, just fucking up drunk shit. My battalion commander looked at me and said, Marine, I'm going to give you one or two choices. You're going to go to the brig and get a bad conduct discharge, maybe go to Fort Leavenworth, because I did some stupid shit. I was in deep trouble on this one. Or you can go to rehab. All bases had a rehab on it. And I'm a quick thinker. Remember, I'm above average in intelligence. And right away, 2 things I knew about the brig. The food sucked and the women were fake. So I went to rehab. Now my rehab was concrete floors, cinder block walls, racks and walls. It's a barracks, a Marine Corps barracks. But they had counselors. And I went to rehab August 10th, 1982. That's my clean date to date so far. I'm a one-hit wonder. I'm well aware I have a relapse in me. Don't think I don't. I'm a big believer. Everybody's got a relapse in them, myself included. That's why I do today what I did yesterday, so should tomorrow get here, I'll be equipped to deal with it. See, I was a fast learner in many ways. I'm going to share that fast learning experience with you. So I go to rehab, and all my counselors were in recovery. And we did I guess what they do in rehab during the day, but at nighttime they took us out to 12-step meetings. Now in 1982, in the island of Oahu, the state of Hawaii, there weren't but 2 NA meetings a week there. And my first 12-step meeting I ever went to happened to be one of those 2 NA meetings. And I walked in the meeting, and a bunch of Marines go in there. They didn't think much of it. They to be honest with you, back then they hated us. Always accused us of drinking the coffee, screwing the women, not putting money in the basket, which was true, except I always put money in the basket. So we go to these meetings, we'd get the group stuff going. This was 42 days inpatient. And I remember they were giving out drugs in rehab. I tried to get some drugs because, nobody thinks they can quit everything. We got to have something, right? And the shrink told me, he said, I tell you what, we ain't giving you nothing. I heard you get Valium is what I heard you. I never did a Valium before. And this is 1982. They were just getting popular. And I said, I'm sure I'd like one. I need it. And the shrink said, I tell you what, you follow instructions for 6 months. You come back after 6 months. If you still think you need something, we'll discuss it. Then I'll probably give you something. But then he said, well, I do got one drug I'll give you. And I perked up. Fucking hey, what is it? He said, we got this thing called Antabuse. We'll give you. And that's the one that you take, that if you drink on it, you get deathly ill. So I said, all right, that's the deal. So I took Antabuse about my first year. And I'll tell you, there was a part there where I wanted to drink really bad, but I didn't. But anyways, so we're going to meetings, we're doing the treatment part, and I'm in a meeting one night, and a big old fat white guy like me was saying, if you want what we got, do what we do, and you'll get what we get. And I'm looking around, and it dawned on me, my God, you people are looking good. You're happy. You got jobs, you smell good, you got cars, you're getting your life straight. I heard enough stories, you're getting your life straight. The girls were looking really good. And I'm thinking maybe I can get one of those and I ain't got to pay for it, And so it dawned on me that, oh my God, you get prizes in NA. You get rewarded for staying clean and doing this thing. I looked at those steps in rehab, and like most of us, we read them and we go, fuck you, fuck no, fuck that. We might be able to do one or two bits and pieces, and that was my experience. And I didn't stay to have a spiritual awakening, I promise you that. I just didn't want to go to the brig, man. I wanted to get laid. I wanted to have a normal life, what I thought was normal life. And but I got a sponsor in rehab. And we started working the steps. And remember, in 1982, there was no basic text. There was no flat book. We only had the white book, 5 pamphlets maybe. We didn't even have key tags in the meeting I went to. I didn't even get a key tag. As a matter of fact, don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but anything I picked up was 5 years clean. I picked up a 5-year medallion. The first time I picked up, because I wasn't sure I was coming back or going to make it. I didn't want to waste nobody's time. But at that time, I had a girlfriend that demanded I celebrate and demonstrate that this thing works. So she made me pick up a medallion at my home group, and she threw me a surprise party, and all her girlfriends jumped on me and tickled me till I peed my pants and shit. And, that's a different story, though. But so I started working steps. Now I'm here to tell you something. The only reason I did the steps was to get prizes. I really wanted the girl, to be honest with you, and I didn't want to go to the brig. So my sponsor, we wrote out my first step. And my first step is some crazy shit, but that's when I realized that 1 was too many and 1,000 never enough. That I had this thing, it was a disease, man, and there was no cure for it. And everybody who had it, like I had it, you were going to end up in jail or an institution or die, and you were going to hurt and destroy anybody that meant anything to you, okay? There was no way out. The only thing you could possibly do was not use that day and try, with the help of others, to make sense of your life and how you're going to manage it. Everything I owned, I could fit in a paper bag. I couldn't manage my life. I'm in the Marine Corps. I'm in an infantry battalion in goddamn rehab. Obviously, and I made a ton of money before the Marine Corps, and I fucked everything up. I can't manage my life. I'm not qualified to. My best thinking got me there. My thinker's broke. I knew in rehab if I could cut my head off, I could make it. But the God of my understanding had a plan. He knows what the fuck he's doing. So my first step was like a real wake-up call. Like, oh shit, what do I do now? Work the next step, dumbass. And now back then, we didn't play. A lot of people play around here. Back then you did one step and then you immediately did the next step. And you did them expeditiously as possible. Now keep in mind, I'm still in the grunts. I'm still in a deployable infantry battalion. There ain't many recovering Marines, okay? I'm trying to get to as many meetings as I can. It's hard to. It's hard to get a home group. You just kind of got to adopt the meeting you're at that night to be your home group. Because remember, we're constantly training, being flown off, shipped off in the jungle, doing all kinds of crazy shit. But identify people, places, and things. I have to avoid those old people, places, and things. I can't do what I used to do. I had great credibility in my platoon. I was the baddest motherfucker in 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, and everybody knew it. I had to give that up. Move my rack from the back of the barrack to the front of the barrack. That kind of shit. I couldn't run with those people no more. Every chance I got, I had to chase a meeting down. I called my sponsor, and I did my second step in my second month. Because I was insane. I knew I was insane. Because all I wanted to do was get fucked up. I wanted to get high. Remember I said I love getting high. Getting high is the love of my life. The only thing that ever worked for me, made me feel whole. And that's the very thing I got to give up. Of course I'm insane. I'm crazy. I ain't acting right. I'm a maniac. And the second step says we better find a power greater than ourselves. Of higher power. Restore us to sanity. And my higher power was you people. That's some crazy shit I know. You look around this room. I had to find you people and share that shit in my head so I wouldn't get high. And this is the only place I could go and do that and feel loved, wanted, and welcome. It's important. I can't go to the grocery store and start sharing with the cashier how fucked up I am. Now I know there's some churches and preachers out there you can do this shit to and do that. Do whatever works. Some of you got good therapists. You do whatever it takes, but you got to learn to share that shit because chances are good you're thinking insanity. And month number 3, I had to do the third step. And this was a hiccup for me because I hated God. I didn't want nothing to do with God. I blamed God for all my problems. Now there's something there that's you want to pick up on. God does exist, in my view. But I just ignored it, okay? I was raised Catholic. Jesus loves you. My dad beat the fuck out of me. Jesus loves everybody. He killed 10 million Jews in the Holocaust. All this shit, the world history is in my head about God, Bible, religion. So I had to start from scratch. Me and this guy, we're at a little Denny's out the back gate talking one night. 3 months clean. We're discussing where you at, third step. But I think I'm fucked. He said, why? Because I ain't fucking turned. I fuck God. That's what my attitude was. He said, whoa, you got it all wrong. Let me help you out here. Now keep in mind, I'm talking to a guy I hate. I can't stand. He's in recovery. Every time he shared fucking nothing. I want to shoot this son of a bitch. You ever have that vision? Bullet between the fucking eyes? I used to think like that. I don't think like that no more. That's long gone. But as a newcomer, if you didn't share what I wanted you to share, I wanted to shoot you. But he starts sharing with me. And we're both, to be honest with you, we're both hitting on the waitress trying to, get that. But he starts explaining the third step to me. Now, this is another creepy moment in my recovery. He starts sharing, here's the guy I hate, and all of a sudden, there's a glow goes over this guy. I'm having this unusual look. Holy shit. I know enough to know about angels. When an angel shows up in my life, I'm sitting across the table from a bona fide angel. And I knew it. My Catholicism was kicking in, man. This is a goddamn angel. And he said, look, John, there's a God. Yes, I get it. Okay, there's a God. And you're not it. Okay, there's a God. I'm not it. Okay, what was your will in your life? My will in my life was to rip and run. I destroyed my opportunity as a human being on earth to be a useful, productive member of society. I engaged in the get high. And that get high took me to places I never dreamed I could go or was raised to be or go. I destroyed my will in my life was to do drugs, get more, and didn't matter who I had to steamroll to get them or what I had to do. That was my will in my life. And I knew if I used, I'd go back there. This is important. If you're a newcomer, this is real important. So you know what you are, what you got, and where you're going if you do what you want to do the most. Get high. But you have a forward path you can embark on. God, G-O-D, good, orderly direction. That was my starting point. What do you think the God of your understanding is? You get to create the understanding of your God. Create a good one. One that wants you to stay clean, be helpful, do good things, don't be a screw-up. That's easy enough. I can do that. And that was the step-off point of my third step, which allowed me to go to my fourth step. At 4 months clean, I wrote out my inventory. At 5 months clean, I shared that with my sponsor. And when I shared, see, back then, it ain't like today. And I wished it was, because back then they said, look, you got to work them first 5 steps. That 5th step especially got to be perfect. You can't leave nothing off, nothing out, no stone unturned. See, I know the history of step work, by the way. I know who wrote them, why they were written, where they originated, how they were intended to be utilized. And they put their own twist on it here in the last 20 years. But I'm hanging with the originators of these things. You know, my sponsor was the writer of the original steps, that kind of shit. So my 5th step, I shared it with my sponsor, and I shared everything because remember I'm Catholic. I go to confessions. I know how to do a good goddamn confessions. But I shared everything, and I don't put this on a speaker tape, by the way. You know, I don't even share it with many people outside the room. But let's just say I'd be in prison today for some of the shit I did then if I got caught and convicted of it. But here's what, when I got done with that 5th step, the weight of the world was lifted off of my shoulders. I knew 5 months clean, I was free of everything I ever did. As long as just for today I stay clean and work a program and put my best effort, I knew it. And I'm telling you what, a lot of us come in here, I don't care where you're at, what level you're at, it's never too late to do these steps. Get a sponsor, work these steps, and overcome the very obstacles that keep pulling you back down to active addiction. It's not that complicated, but a day at a time is hard. I get it. Remember, I'm in a barracks, 85 Marines, and 84 was smoking pot, drinking liquor, dropping acid. And I'm the one lone guy up at the front, missing the party, doing my literature best I can, chasing meetings. I go on my 3rd deployment. You know how hard it is to be on an amphibious assault ship with 400 Marines and sailors all getting fucked up? And you and one other guy on another ship are only 2 people in recovery? You know, the perseverance you got to go through. So when you're in these recovery houses and somebody offered me drugs, or I knew if I hung out at the smoke shack I could find some, or, you know, you meet the girl, it ain't like that. Yeah, it's fucking just like that. I mean, on one hand, I understand. I've been there, but you got to understand, there's a lot of warriors in recovery. You know, we fucking warriored up along the way. We did the work. There's no shortcut to that spiritual awakening. You got to do the work. You know, every step I did, a piece of me was coming alive. I was feeling it. I was believing it. You know, the 6th step was difficult for me because I have lots of character defects. You know, I like to whore around. In my Catholic mind, that was a defect of character. You ain't supposed to do that. I like to play and gamble cards with people who are dumber than me because I know I can get their fucking money. You ain't supposed to do that. You know, as humans on earth, especially in America, you know, we can manipulate and con and get great benefit for ourselves. You ain't supposed to do that. And I was raised in very, I consider us fairly poor, but yet middle class poor family. Grew up at the end of the race the real race shit in America. You know, I'm a child of the 60s. I got to watch the civil rights movement. I mean, you know, the N-word was a regular word in my life up until I got in recovery. Shit like that. I was very prejudiced, and I wasn't a radical guy, but I was one of those that fed into that shit. So I had a lot of character defects. In the way I thought about gay people, black people, Jewish people, I was raised in an environment that was really fucked up. So here I'm in recovery, embarked on a spiritual journey with spiritual principles. My life depends on these people. And I don't know if you know anything about NA. You look around the room, we're a very diverse population in here. You better learn to fucking get along quick. Because, hey, these people save your ass. So, my 7th step, now remember, a character defect's like a flat tire. You know you got a flat tire, you need to fix the flat tire. A shortcoming, if you drive on that flat tire, you're going to fuck it up, make it worse. You're going to ruin the rubber, the wheel, everything. Big problem. So, shortcomings is those deep, entrenched character defects that I got to get in touch with the God of my understanding. I got to ask God, look, this is a God thing. I ain't strong enough to quit this shit. And I made a list of everybody I'd harmed. I was 23 when I got clean. You know, my list to me wasn't that great. You know, I felt lucky. And I banged out every person, place, and thing I could. I made amends. And I didn't just find people, place, and things and say I was sorry. I said, I want to make it right. If I owed money, I paid money with interest. You know, now, a couple of amends I can't make because I don't want to go to jail and I don't want to hurt them. But there's, like, I'm very, you know, I stomped out those little baby birds. You know, we used to throw up frogs and hit them with baseball bats. We used to run over turtles with the lawnmower. I've kicked the shit out of dogs when I shouldn't have. I've done some shit. I've shot some dogs. Yeah, I've done some shit I'm ashamed of. I feel bad for. I can't get it out of my mind to this day. But one way I make amends is, you know, I do contribute to the SPCA. I do take time out to rescue animals. I got 2 rescue dogs now. They're Jack Russell. One of them, a mean little fucker that should be shot. Oh, you come to my house, she will bite you. They just little puncture wounds. They heal quick. But I'm very pro nature, you know, saved animals. I do all I can to help women causes, LGBTQ causes. You know, I contribute, I participate, I no longer feed into shit. No, I mean, if you come to my foundation in Richmond, we are the most coolest fucking organization in the world. I mean, I can't explain it, you know what I mean? I'm living proof of where I've been, what happened, where I'm at now, but it's hard to say all that in a 4-hour speaker meeting, you know? I'm one of those people, every night when I go to sleep, I reflect back on my day. What I do right, what I do wrong, who do I need to drop back on, what do I got to do? Now, the new person, it was easy. As an old timer, it gets difficult. I mean, that's fucked up too, because I'm in some shark-infested water in life, and I don't know if I want to go trying to make amends to sharks. That does get harder with age. To me, I'm looking at Cooper supposed to co-sign my shit here right now. Now, when I got out the Marine Corps, I came home, I went back into my painting business, and within a few short years, I'm knocking down $1 million a year. I'm buying real estate. I opened my first recovery house in 1985. I was honorably discharged, by the way. The Marine Corps wanted me to re-enlist, which was very tempting. A very successful businessman. When I came to Richmond in '83, December, there weren't but 5 NA meetings a week. You know, me and a group of guys and girls, we made sure we blew up NA in the Richmond area, the state of Virginia. We have 120 meetings a week there right now. They actually had the Richmond area had their first Richmond area convention this weekend, and I'm in wild, wonderful West Virginia, which is good. Which is where I want to be and need to be. So I'm plugging along. I'm acquiring wealth. You know, I buy lots of houses, recovery houses, an office building, apartment building, 25 painters, paper hangers, 7 trucks. Become president of the Painters Association. I'm going to meetings. I got my home group. I'm doing service work. I've always done service work. Involved in convention committees, and I'm an H&I guy. My first sponsor said, the only way you're going to stay clean, John, is you better go into prisons and jails and institutions, and I've always done that. Life was good, man. Life is good. I'm 13 years clean. Everything y'all said was true. I've had my spiritual awakening. I'm living in the spirit of the God of my understanding. I'm being that person I think I'm supposed to be. We're making changes. We're healing families, saving lives, organizing narcotics. And life is wonderful. I met a girl in NA. She was 5 years clean. I was 7 years clean. We fell in love, got married, had a child. I got a few $1 million in assets, ton of money in the bank. I mean, I'm getting this thing. I did a paint job one time. I remember this. It was in the 80s, late 80s. And in one day, me and one other guy, I did my math. I said, holy shit, I just made $14,000 in one day. Who fucking does that? This is great. Crack dealers don't even make that kind of money. You know, and so I'm such a grateful person. I really am. And then my wife come home one night, and she just sat me down and said, look, John, I don't love you. I don't want to be married anymore. I'm leaving, and this is what it's going to cost you. And if you fuck with us, it's going to be difficult co-parenting. We had a 2-year-old at the time. And I mean, that fucking crushed me. I'm trying not to cry right now, just remembering the pain, the suddenness that brought on. This is a woman who I worship the ground she walked on. It never in a million years did I think this would happen to me. We never even had a fight. We were married at that time 6 years. We might have had 2 arguments. And it was just brutal pain. That pain the pain was so great it did something to my brain that I have not fully recovered from. I can't explain it, but a piece of me died during that process. Now, the good news is, because I helped a lot, I was a big service helper guy, payback came my way. This fellowship, the people in it saved my life. They took turns standing watch over me, hanging with me, sleeping with me, doing all kinds of shit. And I'll be honest with you, I never thought of using drugs or getting high. But the thought of shooting that bitch on a daily basis, I got homicidal, man. My brother, my family thought I was going to kill myself. And I really wasn't. I could easily do it. I know I could. But I didn't, and I wanted to shoot her and then shoot me. But I didn't want my daughter to be without both parents. So I kind of thought played that tape through. It was the worst time in my life, I think. And, you know, a year later, I'm trying to pull my life together. I did I didn't use, but I acted out a little bit with the ladies and the girls. I'm hurt. I'm buying shit I shouldn't buy, buying fancy cars I shouldn't have. I can't work like I used to work because now I'm co-parenting. That woman was not going to win a court battle against me on parenting. Not going to happen. Her daddy was a lawyer. And they in Virginia, the women get what they want. But trust me, I'm a fucking Marine, and I will fucking die before I surrender, especially if I think I'm right. But the way it ended up, we got slammed up down the middle, joint equal, physical, nobody pays nobody. I mean, it was best case that way, but it did hurt me tremendously financially, and I was off my track. I couldn't be manageable. That trauma I went through there ruined my ability to be manageable in a multi-million-dollar a year company I was running. And the long story short is I did end up losing most of my assets. I did end up in a bankruptcy. It was a reorganization when we had to pay pennies on a dollar type thing. But I could never get back to the level of business I once knew. And a year later, I remember talking to God, telling God, look, I'm done with fucking women. You know, at that time, I was just hurt. I was in pain. I'm going to go to Myrtle Beach Serenity Fest and just mind my own fucking business. I take newcomers with me everywhere I go. I got a couple with me here. Well, Scott coming up on 4 years. He ain't so new, but he's still a fucking newcomer to me. Jason got 38 days. Y'all raise your hand, boys. Scott and his wife, both from Maine, they actually came to my organization 4 years ago, a contract we got with the police up there. They send troubled fucking addicts to us. And they're two that survived. They're doing great. Jason, he's misfire, but he's back. He's got an excellent Jesus tattoo on his arm. He was using it as a pickup line last night with the ladies. You know, my friend who has a cousin in Benton didn't fall for it. I forget her first name, but she knows who she is. Scared her half to death. That's not a very good pickup line. Jason says, well, I don't want to get involved with anybody that don't love Jesus. I respect that. 37 days clean, I love Jesus. It can happen. All right, where the fuck was I? Oh, yeah. Myrtle Beach, baby. Serenity Fest, NA convention. So we go down there. I took a newcomer with me. I had a brand new Cobra. Remember the Cobra, the Ford, the Jeep? When they first come out, I bought one off the showroom floor. Fuck me. That was a fast-moving fucking car. Too fast for me. Myrtle Beach is 5.5, 6 hours. I think I got there in 3 hours. I actually sold that car it still had 30-day tags on it. 135 mile an hour, too fast. I can't help myself in a fast car. But we go to Myrtle Beach, and I met this girl. And I remember I met her a year before. And make a long story short, she was attractive. I liked her. I wanted to know her. And I gave the golf tournament guy $100 to put her in my cart. So she would have to play. She played golf, so she'd have to play golf with me. I fell in love with her that weekend. But she'd revealed to me that weekend that she had relapsed. You know, because I'm thinking she got 6 years clean. And I'm falling in love with a woman with 6 years clean. Well, by the end of the weekend, she said, look, I'm a newcomer all over again. But my brain was thinking, well, fuck, that don't count. You had 6 years, you know? And and she lived 100 miles from me. I live in Richmond. She lived in Washington, D.C. And she's a healthcare lobbyist in Washington. She actually lobbied for the treatment field, addiction, mental health. She was Betty Ford's lobbyist. And, so here I am in love with this chronic line relapsing newcomer who lives 100 miles away. And we're in this serious relationship. After about a year, it's like, fuck, I can't do this. You either goddamn go to rehab or I'm fucking done. And she did. She ended up going to rehab. I took her. And she a few months after that, her father died. So she did use it to her father's funeral. But next month, she celebrates 25 years clean. And, yeah. This is actually our anniversary weekend. She was supposed to come, but she didn't want to come, so I brought Scott and Jason. But we'll be married, I think it's 24 years. We accidentally got married on Halloween, so The short version of that is we were doing a flyaway wedding to the islands, and a hurricane hit, so we had to evacuate, and we ended up in Jacksonville, Florida, Amelia Island, and it took us like a week to find a priest because we wanted to be married in a Catholic church. And it's hard to get married in a Catholic church when you're divorced and not having kids, but we knew who to bribe up at the right places. And she's a lobbyist. She knows how to work the system. And but it took us like a week to track down a priest to marry us. The whole state of Florida priests were at a convention, but we got this old 90-year-old guy out of a nursing home. And anyway, we ended up getting married, and when we walked back into the hotel, we looked around. This was a very stressful period, by the way. And everybody's in a costume. And me and my wife, we looked at each other at the same time. We said, we just got married on Halloween. We had no idea it was Halloween. That's how stressful that particular situation was. But anyway, so I met this girl. We got married. She's working and living in D.C. I'm working and living in Richmond. You know, life is good. You know, we met each other at a time where two people that were both hurting and had problems met, and her sister swears we were made for each other. Y'all the perfect couple. Every time she gets pissed off at us, you were made for each other. You know, my family, you know, I have a crazy family. You know, my dad, he found recovery 5 years before I did. And I got an older brother, he's a daily AA'er, 38 years sober, he's got his own clubhouse. Really a cool, great dude, great people they run with. My little brother got 22 years or 23 years clean. So everybody in my family that needed recovery, we eventually found it. We're a recovering family. But my NA family, I'm a lot closer, I think, to the NA way of life. And we are close, my family. You know, we do the group texts. My brother's in Scotland texting me pictures of staying in castles and shit, right? I'm texting them pictures of that fucking log cabin from West Virginia. You know? And loving it, you know what I mean? To me, I'm in the lap of luxury here in Ripley with you guys. So me and my wife plugging along, and I get to learn from her and her business. You know how difficult it is to be a recovering addict in the United States of America in 2000, 2001, 2003. My home group, people coming to my home group not coming back. You know, because they get sucked up in the criminal justice system. They in fucking jail. They got POs whose job is to get them locked up, not get them help. That's how fucked up our system is in America. And it wasn't like that in 1982. And so I had a lot of experience working with newcomers because I sponsor a lot of people. I got the same sponsor for Kermit, been my sponsor 36 years. You know, I keep home groups for 10 and 15 years. We do step work when the motherfucker will do his goddamn stuff. You know, I go to my home group every week. I'm a fucking NA warrior, baby. But we were at a camp out at Branna in 2004, NA camp out, and we're sitting around the fire saying, we got to do something to help these people. Folks, I've had my spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. You can bet your ass I practice these principles in all my affairs. And I carry this message. You know, the God of my understanding, some of us get called to a different level of service work. Doesn't mean I leave what I'm doing here behind. Not at all. It means I up my game. Okay? And I up my game because I can. A whole lot has been given me and my wife. So when a whole lot is given to people like us, a whole lot is expected from a people like us. That's the way we look at this. My wife's a big John F. Kennedy fan. Oh my God. When we met, I'm a life member of the Republican Party, and she's a fucking life member of the Democrat Party. And here we are, this many years later, I'm more goddamn blue than she is, man. I mean, recovery's purple, by the way. I'm purple. I'm in the middle, man. If you're good for recovery, I'm good for you. That's the way I look at it. which I actually am in that business now, so I have to look at it like that. But the point I'm making is, in 2004 on a Saturday night, a bunch of addicts who had spiritual awakening sitting around a campfire said, what can we do? We're going to open up a recovery organization. And it's going to help newcomers so we can get these newcomers connected to recovery and keep them out of connection to jail and fucking up. And we started an organization in 2004, Recovery Center. No money, no business plan, no nothing. And all in one day, we incorporated, got a nonprofit, got an office, and I got broke that afternoon. And here we are 18 years later, and we're in a 15,000 square foot of charity, nonprofit charity. We have 15 recovery houses, 145 beds. We're facilitating 3 full-time programs in 3 different correctional facility jails. We have reentry for these folks. I have a $3 million a year budget, and I get to do what the fuck I want. And I like that. Now, my board might fire me anytime because I've already got a succession plan in place. I got leadership coming behind me to take this thing over. I engage in our policymakers at the local level, the state level, the congressional level. You know, I get fucking laws passed in Virginia. Any of y'all ever been Narcan? Narcan. How many of y'all been Narcan? About 6 years ago, I went to our General Assembly and I said, look, they got a fucking thing called Narcan. We need to get that passed and get that in the hands of everybody in Virginia that needs this shit. I got that done, me and another member, in the first session. And to date, hundreds of thousands of addicts in Virginia have been Narcan. And that's a good hit. We got Good Samaritan laws passed, meaning if you're ODing and somebody calls, the caller or the person ODing don't go to jail. Shit like that. My wife, a recovering addict, a fucking NA purist in Washington, got the mental health addiction parity bill passed in Congress. If you got health insurance and you can use that insurance for treatment, you can send my wife a fucking thank you note because she worked 20 years on that bill, funded by Betty Ford, Mrs. Ford, and her friends. If you have if you got health insurance, mental health and addiction is one of the 10 essential benefits in your health insurance. My wife fought tooth and nail to make sure that was put in that goddamn bill. And these ain't easy battles. For recovering people to get into that space, making that kind of change ain't fucking easy. You know what I mean? But it's needed. This is the God of all understanding. This is what they do for us. You got to realize something. You know, remember, I come in here not for a spiritual awakening. I get a spiritual awakening, and my life is all about trying to fucking make it better for the rest of us here to come. You think about that for a minute. You know, and a few years back, I was Man of the Year in Richmond, Virginia. It was like they nominated a handful of people. That same time I was nominated Man of the Year because of my charity work, Vice President candidate Tim Kaine, Senator Tim Kaine was nominated. So it's me, the senator, our mayor LeVar Stoney, first, you know, poor black guy to become mayor in Richmond, an Olympic gold medalist, a Supreme Court judge, a couple other billionaires, and me. Now, I didn't win, but I was nominated. That's a big deal. The mayor got it, actually. But they ask you, they interview you. It's a big, you know, you're all over the paper. It's a big deal. They interview you. What's your bucket list item? You know, one of the questions. And I was thinking, well, as a kid of the 60s, I always wanted to spend a week at the Playboy Mansion. I mean, that's always been a thing with me, you know. But that's no longer going to fucking happen. But I love carrying that message of hope. I call myself a hope dealer. I love jails and prison works. I go to so many of them. When you go in there and you talk to people that can't get out and get to a meeting, and you give them that hope shot, and you watch them get emotional, and they're feeling it, and they're crying, and they want what you got, and then you know you can give them that, not only the vision, but the pathway. That's even better, especially in Virginia. But I said, I want to go to, I've been going around the country speaking in different jails and prisons in different states, and I want to speak. My bucket list item is to speak in all 50 states, carrying my hope shot. Well, to date, I've been to 44 different states. So, you'd be surprised how hard it is getting those last 6 states to make my 50. But I ain't quitting on that. I ain't giving up on that. In recovery, in our space, in the NA space, we intersect with the rest of the world on a regular basis. You know what I mean? People are going to come into Narcotics Anonymous, and a lot of people come and go, and they say, fuck, I've been to NA, it don't work. Well, it reminds me of the little boy. He goes to the circus for the first time. He saved his money. Mom and dad, 14-year-old boy saves his money. You go to the circus. The boy runs to the circus, in pulls the train, all the animals come off, the circus acts come off, and all the cool shit come off, This kid is so excited, he's never seen this shit before, right? He runs, and then little short guy come by with a hat and a cane and even takes his money. I mean, this kid is ecstatic. He runs home, tells his mom and dad, I went to the circus, it was great. Mom and dad asked him, what'd you see? He said, I saw these animals, the act people coming down, it was fucking awesome. And the father said, well, how was the 3-ring show? And the boy goes, three-ring show? The father said, yeah, did you not go into the circus tent and watch the 3-ring show? And the boy said, nah. Father said, boy, you still ain't been to the circus. Now, if you come to Narcotics Anonymous and you say this don't work, well, did you work the fucking steps? Because if you come in here and if you sponsor up, get a home group, do service work, and work those steps, chances are good. We don't see people relapse. We don't see people in and out. And a lot of y'all, you relapse, and I know you are, and God bless you for being here, and I'm not shaming you or making you feel any other way. But most people really don't vigilantly work these steps. You're going to relapse, most folks. But if you do the steps, if you do what we do, you'll get what we get. It's as simple as that. If you do active addiction-related stuff, you're going to get active addiction-related results. If you do recovery-related stuff, you're going to get recovery-related results. It's as simple as that. Narcotics Anonymous is a proven, surefire way to recover and arrest the disease of addiction. This is the only fucking place I know where you can come, an addict can stop using drugs, lose that desire to use drugs, and find a new way to live. You hear me? And let me tell you a little bit about that. I just slipped that fucking secret message in there and y'all didn't even get it. How does a goddamn addict like me, who lives for the get high, I told you I live for that goddamn get high, right? How do I go from living for the get high and I'm living for the recovery message hope dealer high? You follow me? Your drug get high. When we lose that desire and find a new way, that's the NA way. That's what I'm talking about, okay? You find that way, holy shit, the possibilities are endless. I remember back in the Marine Corps in Australia, 5 months clean. I want to get fucked up in the worst way. I can't find no drugs. I can't drink because I'm in fucking abuse. Okay? I end up, one of my friends said, John, you look terrible. Shouldn't you go to one of those meetings? Okay, Perth, Australia. I found a 12-step meeting. The only one I could find. I go in there, it's a goddamn old people's home. Fucking everybody in there 90 years old. This old lady come up to me. Hey, mate. Welcome to the meeting. Would you like some biscuit and tea? The biscuit was shortbread cookies. I ate the whole fucking tray. They were good. The tea, you put cream and sugar in it. That's good shit. I like tea to this day. But during the meeting when I shared, all I shared was, fuck you, fuck God, fuck all this shit I want to use. I was mad, angry, pissed off. I didn't want recovery. I just wanted to get high. Man, bells and whistles were going off. Old ladies were running around. Orderlies were running around. People were stroking. It was a fucking scene, man. But after the meeting, They all came up to me. It was like the night of the living fucking dead, man. They trying to hug me. Oh, mate, that was the best shit we ever had. Could you please come back next week and bring some more blokes with you? And it's like, here I am fucking puking on these people and they fucking begging for more. But here's the hit. The hit is, I ain't really never had a compulsion to use since then. Remember that divorce I went through? I didn't have a compulsion to use then. I mean, this is the shit that happens in Narcotics Anonymous, man. What was once insurmountable becomes history. I mean, you guys, I remember a few years back, I'm coming up over a hill, coming home from one of my nighttime jail meetings, right? And I come over a hill, there must be 100 fucking cop cars. It's a fucking DUI checkpoint, 10:30 at night. What the fuck? But blue lights, they don't bother me. Blue's my friend, okay? I'm way past fucking worried about blue lights. I'll roll up, it's my turn. They got this little boot camp fucking wannabe sheriff there. License and registration. I give him my license and registration. He goes, where you headed? I'm on a highway that's running north to south. And I said, I'm heading south. He looked at me kind of funny. There's 50 people behind him, 50 deputies behind him, because I guess they're grading this kid, He goes, well, where you coming from? I said, if I'm heading south, I must be coming from the north. I said, what are they teaching you? And all those fucking deputies busted up laughing and shit. A couple of them, they knew me. They identified me. By that point in time, they knew I was fucking with this guy. In a humane way. I mean, nobody got a ticket, we're good. But the point is, I'm not scared. I mean, I'm telling you what, I don't have that low self-esteem I had. I don't have that inferior complex. I know what kind of man I am. I know what kind of man I've become. I'm telling you, man, I'm a fucking awesome dad. I know I'm a great dad. My daughter's 30 years old. She's a business owner. She's an educator. She's a teacher. Every time she posts on Facebook about our relationship, my dad definitely not on drugs. I mean, she posts the coolest shit you want a child to post, man. Like I'm a father. I'm a hero. My dad, he in March, he passed away. And all of our family got to be there his last couple of weeks. I mean, we're a forgiving family. Everybody forgives everybody. And it was like the most spiritual fucking occurrence of my life. I couldn't believe this guy fucking destroyed and crushed my spirit as a child, but yet we had the ability to heal and come back together as a family. And out of all of us 8 kids, I feel like I had the best relationship for like a 10-year period with my dad. When we were both peaking and priming in recovery. And it was a marvelous experience, man. It really was. And I'm glad he got to live to 90. That's an old age. Recovery, I'm really excited about my future. As long as I can work and do the thing. Remember, I've been clean 40 years. I'm 64. I mean, men in my family, when they get to be 80, they just fucking nursing home material. You know what I mean? They just sitting home on the porch. They ain't doing nothing after that. I mean, okay, so in my addict mind, I'm thinking 64, 74, 84, maybe 80. I'm talking 15 years left of this shit. You know what I mean? You guys got to get off your ass and get cracking. Well, because we ain't seen nothing yet out of Narcotics Anonymous. Remember, the God of my understanding, he's an incredible God. If you look for him, you're going to get some cool shit. There is no single God up in there. I mean, it's all the same to me, the same God, but there's different ways of looking at the God, and you'll understand. You find one that works for you. Sometimes when I share, people don't care much for the way I share. Sometimes I share, people like it, they get a lot out of it. If you like what I share and you get a lot out of it, that's simply the God of my understanding speaking through me to you. You give that person the praise and the glory for sure. If you don't like what I say and I offend you, you got to see fucking Donna, because she asked me to share. She got the one that asked me to share. I'm so grateful to be here and humbled to be that messenger today. And I do take it serious, and I want people to stay clean and follow their passion, but yet remember, don't never forget NA. It's a surefire way of stopping using drugs, losing that desire, and finding a new way to live. It worked for me and many people like me. It can work for you too. Thank you so much for having me here.